What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're doing the custom turbo manifold, which you guys would have seen a little sneak peek of. So this features a bog worn turbo. It's a twin scroll turbo. That's why I've got the two wastegates and it sits on a weird angle. The reason for that is because I wanted it there just because there wasn't a ton of space down there. I didn't want to bury the turbo very low, and I just thought it looked cool here because I had more than enough space for it, and I wanted to actually present the turbo because once this is on, which is kind of a engine cover thing, so then the driver's seat can bolt to it, and then this one is the passenger's compartment, so that one bolts, that one will never come off unless you need to work on the engine. That's the idea of it, to make this space bigger. If the turbo was buried in down there, you wouldn't even see it, and I wanted to show off this nice bog warner turbo and these pretty tile wastegates. So now that you've seen this turbo manifold, let's see how I built it. So if you've seen any of my videos up to this, I want the turbo sitting right there, and to do so, in the way it's sitting there at the moment is it's hanging on the handbrake, which this is just a cover piece that comes off, which the driver's seat bolts onto, and I can take that off and then it makes the opening bigger, which I will be doing. So to keep the turbo sitting where I want it, I've got this engine crane. So I'm going to put this engine crane roughly around there and hang it from the engine crane for now, and then I can get it sitting where I want to with this lid on, and then take the lid off, and then I'm going to tack. I found two bolts that will fit, not the ones I'm going to use, but just some random bolts. So I can bolt my turbo to this, and then the flange is already on the engine, and then I can put the flange on there and then put some piece of wire or something from here to the flange to hold it in place, and then I'll make my scrolls. I'm getting a phone call. Anyway, what I was saying is once I get the turbo manifold there and then the engine manifold, and then I'll kind of configure these in a way to get them as even as possible. And also this is twin scroll, so I need to put two through one side. This 4-cylinder, I need to put two through one side, which is the two centers through one side, and then the two outside need to go through the other side. And I also need to fit two wastegates. So I got tile wastegates. They're 38mm, I believe. If I'm wrong, I'll put it up on the screen. So I got two of these, so one here and one in there, and they are going to roughly sit around there somewhere. So what I'm doing here is I hung the turbo with the engine crane like I spoke about, and then the plan was to weld a bracket from the turbo flange to the exhaust flange on the engine. I was going to join them two together and then be able to take it off and then make exhaust scrolls from the engine to the exhaust, and then sort of join them all together out of the van. But when I started doing that, I realized that the water pump was sort of in the way for that. I needed to be like around the water pump and the chassis rails, and it's a van, everything's tight, the turbo's in a weird location, and it just wouldn't have really worked how I had it planned. So what I ended up doing instead was built the very rear exhaust, so like the very back exhaust scroll into the turbo, and then I did the very front, trying to make it exactly the same length, and I'm pretty sure I did succeed that. But yeah, that's pretty much where I got up to. I did film it all. I know I filmed it all, but for some reason it's not on my memory card, and I cannot find that footage. But that's fine. I just said I'll get you guys up to speed so it makes sense. And I also brought a welder, and I'm quite impressed with this welder. I'll show you shortly. And I did also go to the Mad Mike Summer Bash, and I filmed a lot from that, and maybe that's why some of my footage is randomly missing, because I did swap memory cards. And this is my welder, which is really flash. Like the screen on it kind of reminds me of like a new like Audi dashboard or something along those lines. You can set your pre-flow, you can set everything, which my old welder, the only thing you could set was amps and wire speed. And that was pretty much it. So this thing is kind of smarter than me at this point, because I've got a lot of learning to do to know actually how to use this thing. It's got smart TIG, smart MIG, manual TIG, a bunch of hoses and cords, and this is where we're up to with the small amount of missing footage. All I'm doing is just putting it sort of like the length from this one to there, wherever it's meant to be, and then measuring from this distance to this distance, and then, which turned out to be 92 mil, and then I marked 92 mil all around, and then put a piece of tape around it. Then I'm going to cut that 92 mil, put it between there, and then adjust it. If it's not quite right, I'll just trim more off this, and that kind of thing. Pretty simple, really. That's pretty much how I've done all of this, just tweaking things and just making things line up where they're meant to be. And I'm using the MIG or stainless wire to tack everything in. It doesn't quite look as nice, but then I'm going to just sand it all back and then TIG it. The only reason I'm using the MIG is because I can hold the piece of like pipe, bend or whatever in place and then tack it, where with a TIG torch, it's a little bit harder to do. I guess I just wanted to show like midway through the process. I'm not going to film the whole thing. I don't know if you guys wanted that, but it's sort of the same. Like I put a pipe there, and then I add a pipe on, and then I add a pipe on, and then might like cut this one and like alter it slightly. And it's just very tedious process. I've moved things tons of times. Like doing this one here, I then did the bottom one, and then I changed this top one slightly. But that's the way it is. Trying to save as much room and get them. Okay, so there's the handbrake, but it's kind of blocking the view. Goes like that, and then I've got a few more. So I've got this one, which has got 2 on it, and then I've welded up this one, well, tacked up this one, which has got 3 on it. So what I'm doing is just like tacking 2 or 3 at a time, and then kind of positioning them around like so. I don't know why, but this kind of thing just makes me happy. Like, I just think it looks really cool. I don't know, I hope you guys get the same joy I do out of something like this. Of course it's going to be all tigged up and it should look pretty nice, but yeah, it's squiggles all over the place.
When I see you dancing, I know you're a damn. It's some kind of magic. We both know it right away. I came here to party, don't want it to end. Getting real ecstatic. We both know it right away. I can't seem to deal with this. You try so hard to pull me in. I came here to party, don't want it to end. Getting real ecstatic.
Okay, so I really hope you guys can hear me over the sound of my heater, my diesel heater. It blows pretty hard, it sounds like a jet engine. But basically, I haven't touched this in almost 2 weeks, it's been. So this is where I got up to. I was teaching myself how to TIG weld on these. That's why some of these don't look the nicest, but I'm not overly worried because I've still got to weld this to the flange. I haven't done that yet because I just don't want to buckle this flange when I do it, so I've left that to last. These here, I need to cut these out, die grind them, and then fit these because I want the split to be nice and even, and then this joint to this joint to this. So I haven't yet got that far, so that's what I'm going to get onto now, is just trying to work out sort of the rest of the piping. So obviously I trim that pipe down to tee into this. So this will be like a X pipe there and then split, X pipe there and then split. I want to make the flow just the best I can really, and yeah, that's where I'm up to. And then I'll get on to doing this. So this is that fancy little down pipe that I sort of done. And also, I don't know if I showed you guys, but this showed up. So this here is my intake manifold flange. So this is alloy. I want to show you guys where I'm up to with this. I hadn't touched it for like, it'd be easy 2 weeks, like I said. And when I went to TIG again, like I got the hang of it, and then I kind of had to relearn again. I kind of forgot how to do it properly, but we're getting there. So basically this here, see how that's like nicely sort of, I don't know the words for it, cut out, so that when this sits on like that, the plan I have, like, well, what I think is all the exhaust gas is going to go through here, and then join like and go through the turbo, and then when the wastegate opens, it'll all go through the wastegate and it will like flow like an X pipe sort of, and it will flow nicely and smoothly, and there'll be no resistance. I don't know, it kind of makes sense to me. Okay, so this is where I'm up to. So I've got the 2 wastegates sitting on there. I've got this, which needs to be like moved around a little bit. And then this piece here, which is the last part, which it does need moving. I've just set it in there and it's kind of moved since then. And then these will go around, and then once I buy some more of this, I just haven't brought it yet because I don't know how much I need. But once it's all on, I'll work out how many of these I need and how long of lengths I need, and then I'll make that so it goes like that, and then kind of shoots down and all the way to the back. So that's the plan anyway. I'm going to finish this up. So once I welded every single runner together, I then bolted the flange tightly to the head with no gaskets, and then I'm going to use this to keep it dead flat while I weld it. There are other ways of doing this. You can make a jig or bolt it to a very thick solid piece of steel, but the head was off, so I chose this method. I didn't film any of welding this up, but I welded every single thing, and then I actually put it back on the car. Okay, so there we go. So the engine cover's on. So this is pretty much all you can see of the manifold anyway, which is annoying because of, I think it looks quite cool, and it would be cool if I could lift this up and see the entire manifold, but that's unfortunately not the case. And that's also why I wasn't totally concerned about practicing on this exhaust, because it's not really fully seen anyway. So if I had marginal welds, as long as they're strong and they're not going to break or leak, I wasn't totally concerned about that. But the 2 wastegates, you can actually see them now. It's not the reason I did them like that, but I just wanted them a bit lower down so they're not super close to size of the seat. And same with the turbo. The radiator, I did cut the mounts off, which you guys might have seen a while ago, because when I got the alloy one, I'm probably going to change the mount slightly so that's all the way forward, rather than factory. I think it sits out here somewhere. So I'm going to take all that off now. I'm going to weld it up, but I'll show you guys that in the next video. The intake manifold is the next thing to do, so the next video will be the intake manifold, which I think I mentioned I had the butterfly throttle body for, and then that, and I've got the flange and the alloy all for that, so that's going to be next. So don't miss that one. If you like this, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching. I apologize for the inconsistency throughout that video. It's just because of, it was about 6 weeks of filming, The full drive show is this coming September, so I've got a lot of videos coming up, and I'm going to do weekly videos, if not twice a week, and this van will be at the full drive show. So come check it out. There's bar work to come, full respray to come, and so much more. If you have not watched this video or this video, give it a watch. If not, I'll see you next week. Cheers, guys. I've also released the rock lights. They're on my website now, so grab them while you can. I've also upgraded the merch line. These hoodies are perfect for winter. They're 100% cotton and very, very thick.